Alright, here goes your basic explanation of domain and range. I'm going to use these two graphs. It's the same graph to explain the concept. Domain refers to the x values that get used in the graph, and range refers to the y values. So, easy way to remember that is D comes before R in the alphabet, as does X come before Y. So, connect that domain is to X as range is to Y. So if you're talking about domain, I have here two slips of paper. I'm going to match this one up to the lowest spot on the graph and read the x value, which is at -4. And I'm going to match this one up to the highest spot on the graph in the x direction, and that one reads +4. So we say the domain, the x's are in between -4. They're greater than -4. If you just read part of this, x is greater than -4. That's what that part says. And x is less than regular 4. In other words, it's between the two. Y values, same thing but in the other direction. So I'm going to match this one up to the lowest. -3 is right here. Highest is this point, which matches up to y is 4. And so we say that y is in between -3 and 4. I'll write it like this. This side of the inequality says y is greater than -3, that is, and y is less than 4. Here's one example of a domain and range. This is a graph. It's just a part of a line, and it starts here, and then notice this side has an open circle. That means that we go all the way up to, but don't include that very last point, the end point right there. So if you're talking about domain, again, those are the x's. I'm going to match up the lowest x values right here, it matches to that point. And the highest x value, so that's -2. Highest x value is this one. Now we can't actually include it, that would be x is 5. So when we go to write our inequality, this side of the inequality says x is greater than or equal to -2. But then the other side of the inequality just says x is less than 5. Range, same idea, but in the other direction. So we'll match this up. The lowest point is at y is -3, and the highest point is right here at y is 1. But we don't include 1, so when we write our inequality, this side says y is greater than or equal to -3. But this side says y is less than 1, meaning that it's between the two. Alright, next example is this graph. And this graph, it's different than the last graph, and that in the domain, the lowest spot in the x direction is right here, but then it continues to go down forever and out forever. And so when I go to put this here, there is no end to this graph. There's no limit in this direction. It just keeps going out in the yellow direction. That's the domain here. So I just have one side of the inequality. So x is greater than -5, implying that the other side goes on forever. The range, the highest point again is this point right here on the end of the graph. But then, like domain, it continues on going down forever, and so it has sort of a highest limit, but no lower boundary. And we use just this side of the inequality, y less than 5.